Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
And welcome inside our KDKA-TV studios with a special Steelers edition of the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm your host, Rich Walsh, along with our Steelers analyst tonight, former Steelers linebacker Arthur Moats. And we have a lot to break down here tonight. We're taking your phone calls at 412-575-2600. Not quite the same game as last week, Arthur, especially when we're talking about the Steelers quarterbacks. I know everyone was looking forward to seeing what the young guys could do. Kind of disappointing when you're watching this, but I understand it's only preseason and a lot could happen here. None of the starters were playing, but it wasn't a good start, I would imagine, for Will Howard or Drew Aller in the second half.
Yeah, definitely not what you want to see when you think of what they did last week and how they were pushing the football down the field and giving us a reason to feel optimistic. This week, we saw them just come back down and regress in certain elements. Obviously, with Will Howard, the turnovers you never want to see, especially in the red zone. But for Drew, to me, was a mix of protection, didn't do him the best. And obviously, we know he had a couple of drops out there as well, man. So for me, both of those quarterbacks, mixed bag, but as a whole, you definitely want to see them perform a lot better than what we saw from them tonight.
So I guess we'll get to the question that everyone wants to know. Do you think they're going to keep four quarterbacks? I feel like this was Will Howard's chance at maybe, if they only keep three, this was his chance of maybe showing that he could be the backup.
Yeah, I would agree with you as well. To me, Will Howard, this was going to be his best opportunity. And the fact that he was getting to start as well was going to give him the chance to go out there with the better units, right? But at the same time, when you watch the turnovers, and that's the thing at this level that really hurts you when you're trying to evaluate, when you're trying to just believe that a player can continue to develop or can improve, the turnovers are such a detriment to a performance that a guy like Will Howard, to me, I think now becomes the odd man out as we head into this final preseason game.
And you look at this team right now, can they afford to keep four quarterbacks?
I think that's the tough question. As much as I would love for all four of these guys to be here, especially when you think of the youth from Will Howard and Drew Aller specifically. But when I think of keeping four quarterbacks, what does that do to the wide receiver room? We know we got our big five, and then you throw Ben Skronik in there, included in that, but where does Caden Weejian fall? When we look at the secondary, where does a Robert Spears-Jennings fall? Are we looking at the D-line? And that's the conversation you have to have when you consider keeping that fourth quarterback. And I just personally don't think that this team can afford to take one of those other productive players off the field or who might give you more production in special teams to have a fourth quarterback on your roster.
And that's a big part, special teams. I mean, this is what you're looking for in those final five positions, right? I mean, you figure that they have 48 guys that they know there's no doubt that they're making this team. They're looking for those last five.
Absolutely. In the special teams element, that's where you find that guy. Can you cover kicks? You look at the guys that have to play gunner. You look at the guys that have to play punt return in the trenches. Those are the guys that are extra linebackers. Those are safeties. Those are the six wide receiver, and that's ultimately the position groups that you're looking to fill that spot, whereas a fourth quarterback or even your third quarterback doesn't give you any other positional value outside of just playing quarterback. So that, to me, continues to be the dilemma, and here we are.
And you bring up wide receiver, because the sixth wide receiver, I would imagine, would be the fourth-round draft pick, Caden Weejian, but he put a ball on the ground today. You know, does that hurt him? I understand that you don't really want to cut a fourth rounder, but there goes your sixth spot in a wide receiver that you would have to keep because he's your special teams returner.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And with him, it was very unfortunate to see him put that ball on the ground. Now, granted, they were able to still retain possession, so you feel a little bit better about it in that capacity. But as a whole, the rule of the return man is to maintain possession of the football before we care about how much yards you get. Get possession. So to see him have one ball come out, another ball loosely being carried, that definitely gives you some hesitancy. But as a fourth-round draft pick in this draft class, I find it very hard to believe him not making this roster outright. So to me, I think that he will be that sixth guy, but that now goes back to why you can't keep a fourth quarterback either.
You know, I think that's what got Gunnar Olszewski cut a few years ago, right? Putting the ball on the ground too many times. You know, watching this game is kind of frustrating. The Steelers couldn't score any points. Defensively, is there a bright spot for you? I think Patrick Queen He was out there for a little bit, showed some flashes. Deshaun Elliott as well. He was in on that strip. Carson Bruner, maybe he made a case to make this team again, too. So there were some small bright spots.
Absolutely. If you wanted to talk positivity, you should have just started with defense. This is Pittsburgh. You know that.
Yeah.
But the linebackers, to me, were definitely the bright spot. We can start with Jack Sawyer. I thought that he had a phenomenal game. Multiple tackles, TFL, sack, pass breakup also. When you talk Patrick Queen, he flew around as well. To me, though, not even counting Carson Bruner, because I love what I saw from him, and I do feel special teams-wise, that's where you're going to see him continue to shine. If you look at what he did last year, I'm even more optimistic about him this season. But to me, Landon Roberts, that's the story. That's the guy that we have to talk about. We know we just re-signed him back, but you look at what he did just a year ago under Patrick Graham in Vegas. Was phenomenal out there, ultra productive. We know what he meant to us when he was here his first go around in terms of the leadership, the physicality, and just that tough, just demeanor that he presents. So now when you look at where we currently are roster-wise, especially in that linebacker room, that was the missing piece. But you see him come out here in his first game back. He leads the team in tackles. He's one of the most physical guys that you see out there. And I believe Patrick Queen mentioned it during the game. The guy has 2 third down stops and a 4th down tackle. That is big production, and him being back in this lineup is only going to make that defense that much better.
Yeah, you obviously want to see production on the field. But for me, I was in that locker room for 2 years around Landon Roberts, and I feel like he's a glue guy. He's a great locker room guy, and that was something that they were missing last year. And I think you need a guy like a Landon Roberts in that locker room.
Yeah, absolutely. When you talk about veteran leadership, you talk about a guy that's been on some very productive teams, right? Championship caliber teams. And he's a guy that's had his own individual success as well. You feel very confident in his ability to get in the ear of anybody on that defense because of what he has already done, his body of work. But then when you throw in the fact that he's already been here, he's been a part of the Steelers organization. He knows what it takes to be a linebacker and put on that black and gold uniform. So when he's coming back this time around, he's able to also instill that to the guys that are currently here that are still on their first go around with this. So to me, I just think that what he presents and what he brings from a presence standpoint, it really has an amplified effect. And that's one of the things I was really excited to see him come back and getting back with Patrick Graham.
Yeah, a couple more questions before we get to your phone calls and take a break here. Arthur, we brought up 4 quarterbacks, and you're talking about linebackers, but you'd have to think, inside linebacker could be a position where you can't keep 4 or 5 guys. If you keep 4 quarterbacks, that means Malik Harrison could be in trouble now, potentially Cole Holcomb, Carson Bruner.
Yeah, and you think about all 3 of those guys you just named. Cole Holcomb, to me, is that well-rounded inside linebacker, the bridge between your Patrick Queens and your Landon Roberts. When we talk about Malik Harrison, to me, that's more of a Landon Roberts, but now that Landon Roberts is back, I feel like he becomes the guy that has a little bit more danger surrounding his roster availability. Carson Bruner, the best thing that he has is his special teams production. That's the one thing, the one characteristic that is unique to him that Landon Roberts doesn't present, that Patrick Queen doesn't present, and Peyton Wilson doesn't present. So that's why I do feel confident in Bruner's ability in that space, but also what you saw from him tonight lets you know that he is also capable of making plays in a traditional linebacker position as well. So that group is too talented to only keep 3 or 4 of them. I think you do want to keep a 5th guy. And that's the part, once again, where we go back to quarterbacks and how many we can keep. This is that conversation of how just a 4th quarterback impacts so many other spots.
Yeah, and now you're keeping an extra inside linebacker, an extra quarterback. Now you have to take away from 2 positions instead of 1. All right, my last question for you. You've been in the NFL locker rooms. You've been in preseason games. You've been in games like this. Disappointment. Nothing really went your way today against a team like the Jets. What can you take away? How can you rebound from a type of game like this, a type of performance?
Well, you look at the little details. You find out why last week we were able to connect on some of these plays in 3rd downs, or why we were able to come up with the pass breakup on a deep pass versus this week, we were just a little short. We were just a little off. You go back and you have to watch that tape and be honest with yourself. But the beauty is, because it's preseason, yes, you want to see your team win, but you understand that we don't have everybody out there. We're not game planning to beat the Jets in preseason game 2. We know that the Jets also had some of their starters out there. I saw Demario Davis out there. He looked really nice. But with that, you just understand that if we're playing them in the regular season, the game plan is going to feel different. And more importantly, the quarterback. It will be Aaron Rodgers out there, and that changes the whole dynamic and the whole feel of this game. And if you throw 90 on defense, now I'm really excited to see how Geno Smith and that offense looks, because we know that opening drive, they felt really confident. But I would like to see that opening drive with our full unit out there as well.
Yeah, 90, 56. 97. We're talking in the two corners, Taylor. I mean, everyone. A lot of guys were missing, right? Don't forget about our Penn West University question. I just scanned that QR code on the right-hand corner of your screen. Which quarterback played better? It looks like our audience is going with Drew Aller. I think that's the consensus right up here right now, right?
Yeah, I would agree. When you talk about quarterback play, especially for young quarterbacks, I start with, can you get the offense in and out the huddle? Both of those guys did that. But then the next thing is, can you protect the football? One guy did, the other guy unfortunately did not. And then when you look at the turnovers, one being in the red zone, now we're looking at points being taken off the board. That part hurts, whereas the other guy, he had an opportunity, and I believe it was a missed field goal. So with that, I do agree that Drew did play better tonight. And from there, man, we will see what next week looks like. But I'm definitely leaning with Drew as well.
Yeah, he didn't get help from his receivers either, and I think that really changes the complexion of this question if some of those receivers catch a couple balls. All right, 412-575-2600. Taking your phone calls. Coming up next, right there on a special Steelers edition of the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night from Alex Kozora. First time the Steelers have been shut out in any game, playoffs, regular season, preseason, since 2016 preseason game against the Eagles. Like tonight, a 17-0 loss. Landry Jones threw 4 interceptions that day. As combined with these two guys, they threw 2, but also 4 sacks, which isn't a good stat either. Arthur, one question before we start taking some phone calls here. Caleb Johnson, did he do anything to help his cause to make the final 53?
Unfortunately, from my perspective, I haven't seen enough production from him. And we obviously know him at running back, we're speaking of specifically, but I also look in the special teams realm. And I say, if you're not going to give us the production at running back where we're looking at you ahead of a Travis Homer or a Lou Nichols, can you give us more production special team-wise? And unfortunately, we haven't seen that either just yet. So I think that he is also struggling right now to find a way to get him into that RB3 conversation. So it's not looking good from my perspective for him right now.
Yeah, because Homer can play special teams. Lou Nichols looked a lot better so far. So, yeah, it's going to be tough. Maybe a practice squad. Who knows? All right, let's go out to Steve in Troy Hill. How you doing, Steve?
Hey, how's it going, guys? I want to piggyback off the conversation that you guys were having with between the Howard and Aller situation. I just want to say, you know, Aller had a great look downfield, even though that he had the pocket collapse on him a bunch. Receivers couldn't pull in the ball on him, but he was really hitting his targets really well, and I think he's really playing, you know, pretty well football for, you know, getting drafted, being a young guy, you know, stepping up and really making passes downfield.
Yeah, Steve, I would agree with you. I thought that Drew really showed his arm talent. That was one of the things that had a lot of us excited about him while he was at Penn State. His ability to throw from multiple angles, show the touch, the arm strength as well. And it was just unfortunate tonight the receivers didn't, you know, do their end of the deal. But as a whole, to me, Drew definitely is showing a lot of promising signs early on. And
he's confident. He's thrown in tight spaces, too. And we haven't seen that. And, you know, as for Will Howard and Drew Aller, both young guys, for you, if you were running this team, does that play into the conversation of keeping 4 quarterbacks? Because when we come to next year, if you keep both guys, obviously I would think Drew Aller has a leg up just because he's McCarthy's guy.
Yeah, that's how I look at it as well. When you talk about Drew obviously being drafted this draft, but then it being McCarthy's first quarterback that he's drafted also in Pittsburgh. Those, to me, look like the long-term, I want this to be my guy. I want this to be the answer if we move on or whenever we move on from Aaron Rodgers. But at the same time, Will Howard was exciting. There was a reason why Will was drafted. We saw what Will did at Ohio State. Winning a national championship was not an easy thing to do. And you look at some of the throws that he made along that journey, that's the reason why a lot of us were so optimistic about him when he was picked. But Drew, on the opposite end, is very, very talented. But we've not seen him show the moxie and the ability to close out some of those games like we saw from Will Howard. And I think that that's why we're still kind of hesitant to fully fall in love with Drew, but it's still early for him right now. And I think that he's showing a good sign these first 2 games from him.
And think about it, Arthur, if he comes out a year earlier, he's probably a first-round draft pick. And,
Absolutely.
Things are different, right?
Yep.
Let's go out to Mike and McCandless. How you doing, Mike?
Good. Well, what I'm going to say tonight is, I thought we were ever the Mike Tomlin era. Will Howard was drafted in the 6th round. Will Howard was drafted in the 6th round. Drew Aller was drafted in the 3rd. Why with Drew Aller's stats last week? Why was he's not starting tonight with a quarterback rating over 155.3?
Yeah.
And he sat the bench tonight. And what I saw tonight is Drew Aller did not get to show his talent against a bunch of.
Mike, let me chime in here real quick before we hear what Arthur has to say. Arthur, I don't know if you agree with me here. I know we were talking about this before the show, but I think it's because you want to showcase what Will Howard can do. Can he be the backup? I think there's still a decision going on, a process of whether to keep 3 or 4. And if Howard comes out and absolutely balls out and shows that he can be a backup, that's why you start him in this game.
Yeah, and I would agree with that as well. You want to see him with the higher level talent on paper, at least from a roster standpoint. You feel like the guys that are starting this game are better than the guys that are going to go in the second half. So that was part of it, but I would even take it a step back and just simply say seniority. One guy was on the roster all of last year, whereas the other guy, he's just gotten to the NFL 3 months ago.
Yeah.
So if we were going to simply just go off of seniority, that's why Will Howard, from my eyes, was able to get the start tonight. But I think next week will be very telling, because now when you've seen 2 games, a 2-game sample size where we saw Drew outperform Will and not have the turnovers, more importantly, maybe you do allow him to start this final preseason game to see what he looks like early on in the game when defenses are a little bit fresher and the talent out there should be a little bit better.
Does Mason start the next game?
That's a great question. At the same time, do you see Mason next game?
I don't. I probably wouldn't play him. I think he's safe.
Yeah.
I think he's making this team.
Absolutely. So I think if you feel confident that Mason has made this team, we know Aaron Rodgers is on this team, you allow these young guys to get tape. You allow Drew to get reps, because that's the thing that he's going to need the most to develop. Reps in stadium, game time, live action. But for Will Howard, you also want to allow him an opportunity to audition his skills, to show what he can do, if not just here, then the 31 other NFL teams also. And if you put Mason Rudolph out there, that's just going to take away from both of those guys' opportunity for development and for exposure around the league. So I do feel like you see the same 2 guys, but maybe you flip-flop the order going into this final preseason game.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would do. I'd want to see Drew Aller with the starters next week. All right, let's go out to Rick in Pittsburgh. How you doing, Rick?
Hey, guys. Nice to speak to you. The Steelers could have smoked the Jets tonight, but in winning, they could have lost. And what I mean is these games are about evaluation. I look for 3 things. Do I see intelligent play? Do I see instinctual play? Do I see integrated play? Do you understand your role and are able to fulfill it? So in games like this, Mike McCarthy could care less whether he wins or loses. Is he seeing in these young players and the players he's going to put on this roster what he needs to see in terms of their fit for his Pittsburgh Steelers?
Yeah, I agree with you. The final score doesn't matter to me. I don't know if it matters to you or it matters to the guys in that locker room. But really, no one really displayed that individually to me. No one really stood out. Maybe you could say Carson Bruner, and you could say a couple veterans like Patrick Queen and Landon Roberts, but you expect that from those guys. Maybe Spears Jennings, right? There's a couple names, Jenkins. There's a couple names that made some big-time plays, but we didn't see that really on offense of any guys that were going to make this team.
Yeah, and I think that was the unfortunate part because we were very optimistic about offensive, right? Or the offense specifically because of what we saw from them last week. Last week, we thought all three units came out there and had their moments. Running the ball, throwing the football. I thought this game, we tried to have that mindset of running the football, but when you look at it, we still was 28 carries, 98 yards.
Yeah.
So in that space, you still would like to have seen for the amount of attempts and for the intentional effort to run the football that we would have had more production there. So that was the unfortunate part. But if there's one positive offensively and defensively, we did not have the major injury. So if there was one light, I would shine it there and say, hey, look at this tape, improve upon it, and let's get back next week.
And that's the most important thing, staying healthy, right? All right. 412-575-2600 is the number. We got to take a break. Back with more of your phone call. All right, welcome back to a special Steelers edition of the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Rich Walsh along with Arthur Moats here tonight after the Steelers lose 17-0. We're going to try to get one more phone call in here tonight. Not a lot of time left. Tom in Uniontown. How you doing, Tom?
Yeah. Hey, guys. Love the show.
Thanks.
Hey, I'm just curious. We're talking about all the quarterbacks, and I kind of feel like we've drafted a lot and spent a lot of draft capital on the offensive line, and it kind of don't matter who's going to be in there. With a 43-year-old quarterback, he's liable to be hurt because, to me, the offensive line and moving them positionals left to right side and right to left, and I just a lot of concern about that, and I'll just hang up and listen to your comment.
Tom, I'm glad you brought up the offensive line because I did want to ask you about that. We saw Broderick Jones in there late, gave up a couple sacks. How do you think this unfolds this year?
Yeah, unfortunately, we haven't seen a clean set of productive, group on that offensive line just yet. But the thing that I will say is this. With McCarthy, he's very smart. He is not going to just have that offensive line having to pass block straight without having play action pass, doing certain things from a scheme standpoint to protect those guys as well. So I will have some confidence in that, but we will see going forward.
All right, thanks a lot, Arthur, and thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you stick around for KDK News coming up. We'll see you next week for the Steelers' final preseason game next Thursday.